Well, happy Friday. It is March the 20th, 2020. That's a lot of 20s. Journal 304, T+348. And it's a gray, overcast, threatening Friday afternoon here in Southern California. I was going to say that we're getting ready for the weekend, but weekends don't mean much anymore, especially now under the present conditions in Southern California, or in California in general. While everybody hesitates to call it a lockdown, it certainly is something close, and it seems that it's cut across the whole swath of our culture, our community, and it's really important for us to understand what that means. And more important, perhaps, than even that, it's essential for us to find ways to cope with all of it. Realistically, some of us have more experience than others in doing this. I mean, I've had practice for a year, being isolated, wearing a mask, wearing gloves, being paranoid about germs, becoming a germaphobe of sorts, and all of that. But realistically, all of us in this culture, in this society of ours, all of us across the world, really across the globe, are really forced to confront a totally new reality. A current reality that's different than anything else we've ever experienced before, and one that's going to take some diligence and determination, a little discipline to recover from. This is the reality that we're confronted with, and what we have to do is figure out how we're going to make it work for ourselves and everyone around us. That was the basis of a conversation I had with a really dear friend of mine, who was at one time one of our suppliers when we were in the shop, and who is now presently a Mitchell 1 information systems rep in Idaho. And probably that very kernel of concern, of reality, is going to be the subject of a webinar that we're going to probably do together at some point in the future here. And I think it's important that we recognize that for what it is. The reality that we're facing is real. It's not imagined. The virus that's confronting all of us right now is spreading. If it's not spreading, if we've managed to reduce the amount of spread, community spread, by inhibiting the way we move around, by limiting our freedoms, that's incredible. But it still is not reflective of the number of people that have already contracted the virus. And those numbers are growing every day. And I don't think that there's any community that's going to be spared, that's going to be that's going to find itself spared from whatever the consequences of this virus are. And then it becomes a matter of, what do I have to do now in order to go ahead and get through this? How am I going to make this work for me? And I don't mean work for me in terms of profiting in some way. What I mean is work for me in terms of being successful and navigating through it, so that when it finally dies down, you're whole at the other side of the tunnel. Because it's going to be a long walk through a dark tunnel before we get to that end. I mean, we're looking at and weeks, if not months, of limited freedom, and how you make that more or less palatable, and how you survive it is critical. And there are many different ways to do it, and I'm not going to go through all of them right now because we're probably going to touch on others as we go along. You know, I started this blog as more or less a chronicle, a journal of my journey through the transplant, and how I was managing to survive that. And my hope was that in sharing that experience and that knowledge, that others would find some solace, some information, some wisdom, hopefully, in some of the things that I was doing in order to help them get through whatever they were going through in their own lives. Now we come to this much greater threat, perhaps, than just my personal experience. And I think it's worth continuing the journal, if for no other reason than for the same reason I started it in the first place, is to try and help by sharing knowledge and experience. And I think one of the ways that you get through this, and one of the ways that you find to make it work for you, is you avoid at all costs all the negativity, all of the pitfalls associated with worrying too much about things over which you have little or no control. I mean, you can control staying in the house. You can control who you see and when you see them. You can control personal hygiene. You can wash your hands often. There are things that you can do to get through this virus and to help you feel like you're getting through it, that you're taking positive steps to get through it. But by the same token, there are things over which you have no control. And it's better not to dwell on those things. It's better not to surround yourself with people who are going to keep reminding you of the worst possible case scenarios in your world, and the damage, death, and destruction that are going to be left behind when all things are said and done. Is it good to be aware of those things? Of course it's good to be aware of them. We all have to be aware of them. You can't live in a bubble. You can't make whatever your current reality is a fantasy. But by the same token, you have to wake up every morning knowing that today's going to be a good day, perhaps the best day that you're ever going to have, and then work your ass off all day long to make that feeling reality, make it the truth. It's what we all have to do to get through this, I believe. I think that while we have to distance socially, we have to come together as a community and help each other recognize that together there isn't anything that we can't get through, anything that we can't overcome. Despite the personal sacrifice, despite the struggle, despite the dark realities associated with this, what gives us hope is the fact that we're here for each other, and that our community is strong, and that each of our clans builds the strength of the tribe, and each of our tribes build the strength of the community, and each of our communities build the strength of the culture. I think it was Kipling in the Law of the Jungle, in the story of Mowgli, said the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack. And I think there's a lot of wisdom there, culturally, societally. So it's easy to let something like this get you down. It's easy to let something like this, surround you with a dark cloud of doom. The hard part is finding your way out from underneath that dark cloud, and to recognize that with the help of those people you love and those who love you, even if it's remotely, even if it's on Skype, even if it's on Zoom, FaceTime, whatever technology you want to use to stay together, please find a way to do that. Please find a way to recognize what you have to be thankful for, all the good things in your life that perhaps you may have been taking for granted before. Some of them were wrenched from your reality, and then do whatever you have to do to find a way to make this current reality work for you. I know I'll be here to help in any way I can, and I'm sure that you will be as well. So reach out to those you love and those who love you. Let them know you're thinking about them. Tighten up those community bonds. It's important. So stay well and take care. Not sure I'm going to go ahead and post over the weekend. I didn't think I was going to post yesterday, but I did. Thought I was going to take today off, but I didn't. So we'll see what happens as far as I'm concerned. And you just hang in there. All right? We love you.